the Vatican, like the head of the Catholic Church.
All I know, all I know is toothpicks.
One of the three.
Yeah.
The three anti-popes. The year, and there was the year of the 4 popes, and then there was the
popes.
Still my favorite is the Pope. It was like the Borgia Pope is corrupt, and we need to have a Pope who's not corrupt, and he's like 18. And they're like, well, you said that thing, so guess what? You're the Pope now. And he's like, all right, I have a decree. Okay, what's your decree? Popes can quit. I have a second decree. I quit. The first pope to ever quit was this guy. The second pope to ever quit was the most recent one before the current one. Benedict?
Pope John Paul?
No, that was Pope John Paul is the current one. Benedict.
Emperor Popentine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, totally.
John Paul's not the current.
No.
John Paul
Benedict
was 2 ago.
Yeah. John Paul was like, I'm not Catholic.
I'm dumb. I don't know anything.
We had a whole war
I'm
about
not educated or worldly.
I'm too busy cutting my fingers off to know anything.
John Francis is the current, right?
That's
Pope Francis.
Pope Francis.
Papa Frank. Yeah.
Papa
So,
Frank.
are
Pope
popes like
Francis.
pimps? Like, do you say like a pope?
No,
like
a pope and a
Francis,
pimp
or
is
like,
not.
No.
He doesn't walk down to the convent and go, oh,
I mean,
yeah, here
like-
we go.
like-
If you're a Borgia,
That's not what happened.
If you're a okay, yeah, the Borgias maybe.
Like, do you like declare them? You know, like the pimp called, you know, whatever. Like the pope called.
Yes, they have a pope name.
Yes.
Yes.
Your name.
So like Pope John Paul II was not born to Mr. and Mrs. the Second.
I mean,
also probably didn't have the name John or
I mean,
Paul.
like,
He's German, wasn't he? He
Until
had, he had like a,
Yeah,
a full-length German name, and they're like, nope, change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you become
You get
Pope,
a
you
short one.
decide
I
your
mean,
name.
but Papa Frank had a punk band or a folk band or something like 60
No,
years.
I'm going with punk band. I am going. I don't.
Folk punk.
I also
let's
enjoy
go-
Papa
Do not
Frank.
ruin a perfectly good story with facts. Moving on.
So Papa Frank
I'm gonna just
had
have
a
that
punk
be the
band
theme. I
in
like
like the
that
80s.
Hell yeah. he did.
Like recorded with, it's all in Italian because
A pope.
no, I think he's like
Portuguese.
No,
Portuguese. Yeah, I was
Portuguese,
gonna
whatever.
say it's like.
it's all Romance language.
Are we
It's all
supposed
the
to call
same.
him Pope now?
No, a pope called Papa Frank.
Are you supposed
We,
to call
we,
him
we have
Papa
to use
Frank
it like
now?
that, you know, like pimp called.
Too.
Pope
I'm
called
not
Papa
going
Frank.
to.
Pope called Papa Frank. Yep.
What up? I'm Papa Frank. I didn't mean it.
Like really, I think I might be actually inclined to like watch one of his speeches from like the Basilica if he had Flavor Flav open for him.
It's like, what's
Oh,
up?
like your grandma.
And every speaker in the Vatican exploded.
Right.
By the way,
Like, just-
There's
but
no way.
that's my sound effect whenever I
No,
play
you-
D&D.
No, you have to make it
No.
more
And that
authentic.
20
It's
Now the Pope has
bells.
to use a megaphone to talk through it now.
like,
What up?
no.
Stop chewing gum.
That would be great, though.
No, it would. No, it would.
Let me finish the Flavor Flav idea. That would be awesome.
Like,
Comes with this big ass fucking
I mean,
clock around his
the
neck.
problem with saying
Yeah.
that it's the Finnish is that Finland is an imaginary country that the Japanese invented so they could keep whaling.
With great healthcare.
And Australia doesn't exist.
that.
No, New Zealand doesn't
I
exist.
can
Yeah.
confirm
I thought
Australia
it was
exists.
Australia doesn't exist.
No,
No, it's New Zealand. that
New
doesn't
Zealand's
exist.
not on most maps. New Zealand does not exist. It's a conspiracy.
My
By
father
the-
went there.
Did he though?
Did he?
I mean, he brought back a dead animal from there.
It was a holodeck.
Yeah, it was like.
I brought.
Look, it was Tasmania.
Okay, so I have a
that he
reliable
went to,
source
not
who did
New
independent research. He's done his own independent research and has
But
theories.
it's impossible to get there because like planes don't fly to the South Pole.
Yeah,
because
'cause
the South Pole
is the edge.
Is the edge on
Yeah.
the flat Earth.
So you just go out into the ocean and circle
You
back.
can't fake a conspiracy theory because the look on your face is way too obvious.
Like
What up, Papa
That's
Frank?
the face of truth.
Yeah.
Did you? I
yeah.
didn't see that.
Yeah.
Wait, inside out.
Good job. Doing
Wait, hold
something
on.
right.
Explain
Like,
me inside out.
is it like
So-
a donut?
Okay,
Oh.
no, hold on. So
Donut hole?
it's a heliocentric
Don't know.
universe. So you're familiar with the concept
Like
of a
how God around the
heliocentric
food.
universe, right?
No,
Where's
I am
that?
not.
So heliocentric, literally sun-centered universe. Right?
Okay.
So the universe is centered around the sun.
Okay.
The Earth.
Starburst.
Or sorry, yeah,
Orbits.
yeah, orbits.
The gum.
Yeah, that's
Spins really quickly around the sun.
Explain this to me
No,
like I'm
that's
five.
the thing. The Earth is not orbiting the sun. It's a giant geode encompassing
Oh,
the
that's
sun.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the
there's a
inside-
bunch of pieces of gum surrounding the starburst. In my
Yeah,
phone.
like trying to figure out what this guy talks
Dude.
about is.
But gravity doesn't exist because if you take two lead weights and put them together, they don't stick together. So gravity doesn't exist.
That's like the same idea about the flat Earth. Like you put, water on a orange and it falls off. You put water on a plate, it stays. Like legit, a thing I saw a flat earther try to explain.
Didn't they set up like a laser on Whidbey Island and aim it towards Seattle?
Yeah.
To prove the whole no.
Yeah.
yeah.
A
What
whole
was that?
pile
The
of
I can't.
Behind the Curve, which is a brilliantly satirical.
Except for it's not a satire.
Not
it
even
is just
sat-
a straight documentary.
Yeah.
These
Sorry,
people
not,
are.
not but the title specifically is a brilliant.
Yes.
Okay,
The title is
But
satirical.
specifically, was the plate facing east
Oh
or
my
west?
god.
Because like
See, that's
that's where the
I don't know
poles
where I don't know where the guy was coming from, but he was facing the plate up from relative to where he
are.
was.
But was it east or
Right,
west?
but let's get back to
It's called
the
that night.
Vikings faking the Greenland landing.
Never
East or
happened.
west?
That was fantastic, though. That was
Least.
advertising at its best.
Yeah, the Greenland.
Yeah, Greenland's not real.
Greenland's not real.
No, Finland's not real either.
Nothing is.
I mean, like, why? So, okay, posit me
the
this.
spoon is not real.
Try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
Why did the Russians create a Trans-Siberian Railway if the Japanese didn't need whales from Finland?
I want to see that on a high school test.
How can Iceland exist if global warming is his thing?
Right?
Man's got a point.
Like,
It's sitting on a
I think my
There's no such
ultimate.
thing as global
So,
warming.
like every one of these weird conspiracy theories is usually
Worms.
it's usually has some there's a grand architect and a hypothetical benefit, right? Like the Bilderbergs doing the thing to make all the monies and all of this shit.
Sounds like a government job.
But it's the flat Earth. Like that's the one where I'm like,
doesn't benefit
but,
anyone.
but why?
Okay,
Like
so the way I was had explained to me
big
was
globe
because
out there selling their globes.
no.
That are flat.
It was a brilliant idea invented by NASA to bankrupt the Russians. Because NASA, the Russians never would have invested all the money to go into space to disprove us.
So wait,
But there was
wait, do you,
But so the
Okay,
NASA, so the,
all right,
so
all
the
right.
NASA, the NASA counteracted by
And
spending
like
all the money.
I want to know what and
Yeah.
but then I mean,
that was the what
as
was-
far as
logical, yeah.
explanations for why there is a conspiracy
Right.
to
that's the one
to
I
claim that the Earth is round, that makes about as much sense as claiming that it's flat.
Then,
so
then
that works.
this guy also went on to explain to me that pigeons weren't real because they were government surveillance scams.
All right.
So
also all
This
you
guy was
guys
clearly
are-
very
oh,
wrong.
So I can prove that Russia is literally run by bears.
Okay,
If we're gonna go into wacky conspiracy theories.
No, we're not.
okay.
We're
So
not.
so flat Earth.
They're all on unicycles, right?
Nancy's gonna
No,
try
no.
to save us
Flat
from that.
Earth is a thing. Just we have beveled Earth inside of it. That's why we have lakes.
Beveled Earth. Oh my god.
we're not flat.
Do the sides of
And now
of the
the
Earth have
only
notches
reason
too?
why flat Earth is
What's that?
round is because of the bevels in the flat Earth.
So politics in Russia.
No.
Sorry, what? That,
In order for me to have a hobby, I can only have one hobby.
yeah,
At a
too many
time.
hobbies.
Like I
So
just
Disney's trying to create all the old classic cartoons as live action because somehow it's better.
right. Like I don't
the
understand
concept, I
that.
just
I
don't
don't-
Okay, you know why?
Jimmy
They
Puff
fired
looks
all of
like
their
a
animators back in.
Inflated pink balloon. They just drew fuzz over her.
Yeah. Like.
So when did
they fired their animators?
yeah, like 20 years ago.
Oh,
That's why DreamWorks is a thing because they
Yeah.
fired all of their
yeah,
uh,
artists.
They were already
Yeah.
copying the same art over and over anyway.
yeah, but like I mean, also you got all the weird DreamWorks films in the early 2000s or whatever. It's because they Disney was like, okay, you can have whatever creative license you want because we don't give a shit because we're transitioning to, after acquiring Pixar, transitioning into 3D animation as their main thing.
Right.
So you got like I can't. Atlantis is one of the.
Gotcha.
So that was in that transitionary phase where they're like, oh, it's still a Disney film, but it looks like a DreamWorks film because it was the animation series or the animation artists that were then fired and then got picked up by DreamWorks.
That was around the whole like writer's strike and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So the.
But okay, like I understand whether or not I agree. I understand that transition from traditional animation to computer animation.
Sure.
Fine, and you're gonna 3D everything. Fine, realistic thing. Fine. But why the same movie that you already made?
Yeah, not
If
even
you
20
beat the
yes.
dead horse hard enough, more nickels come out.
Also,
can't
is
Star Wars
that
shit.
really Disney? It's like everybody, not just.
Just say,
Are you really gonna make me do this?
How many Star Wars do we have? Because fucking Disney's like milking the cow.
Eventually, just
Because they're just trying to fucking
it's
just
not gonna be
money.
milk anymore soon.
Didn't they announce that last week they're doing 3 more?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they won't be part of the Skywalker franchise. They're different.
I was happy with hearing they were going to do Mandalorian, and I was like, cool, that's something I actually want to see.
Well, isn't the Mandalorian a miniseries?
It's going to be a series, and it's going to be on their streaming service on Disney.
The idea of,
So quick-
Tarantino doing that, it depends on which Tarantino you get.
I want
If you
Josh
get,
Trank.
if you get
Mm,
Tarantino,
I want Firefly. I just want
like,
Firefly, but
Just have
And
M. Night
Lawrence.
Shyamalan do it.
gross.
This is why you have no friends. No. No.
okay.
What? No.
I knew it bothered
All I
you.
want,
No.
all I want.
He cannot do that till he finishes the Avatar.
Isn't that pushed out another 2 years, 3
A
years?
second lady in the water.
Oh yes, that's what the world is missing. Does it? Should it be an actual sequel or just an animated reboot?
Sure.
Yes.
No,
No.
it doesn't matter as long as he touches it, it's gonna die.
I'm here to watch the one, and that's it.
Yeah. The Watchmen movie was it was good.
It was fine.
It was all right. Like I tend to agree with Alan Moore about his book, and that that story was written specifically to emphasize and draw on some of the idiosyncrasies of the medium of panels
Yeah.
on a page.
Yeah.
And like so that there's anything is going to have some level of loss in
nuance.
translation, but when the story was as dependent on that medium as Watchmen was, and how many nuanced kind of inside jokes or hidden references are there because of the way the pages are laid out, the way the panels are laid out, you lose even more in the translation.
Yeah,
And then doing a series like
I think you
you
get
already
closer.
told the entire story.
Right, but you can, with the miniseries, get more of that nuance, I would say. And that was, it's, in my defense, it's been
Sure.
about 10 years since I've read The Watchmen, or the, graphic
Right.
read, yes. But, one of the moments that always struck me, the whole thing is an exercise in, like, what kind of fucking nut job...
Right. Do you have to be to put on tights and go punch criminals in an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole thing
Felix
is
Jones.
predicated on this, like, nihilistic, pessimistic view on the world, where these people on top, these superheroes,
I've
these
met
people who cannot be controlled. You have Dr. Manhattan, who's literally completely disconnected from humanity at this point. You have Rorschach, who's a literal fucking just nut job, psychopath, serial murderer, basically. And the whole thing, and the comedian also, same kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm doing the good work by murdering children in Vietnam with my machine,
Yeah.
And then
That's dark.
That's the premise of the graphic novel, and definitely the movie too.
Yeah, like, so more over time, and has always come up with these horribly fucked up theories on things that he wanted to do, and he'd go to DC and say, I want to do, you know, the Justice League, but from a perspective of just how they have to be to do what they do.
Yeah.
And then DC's like always, no.
They're like,
And so he does the Watchmen instead. Or he comes to him and goes, I want to do the Justice League, but the Victorian era. And then they're like, no one would watch that. Or no one's going to read that. That doesn't sound good. So then he does League of Extraordinary Gentlemen instead, you know, and that whole run goes forever in the comics. And
But to finish the point, so
Yeah.
interspersed with that in The Watchmen is these little moments which you didn't see at all in the movie with the comic book stand, which was a chunk of the graphic novel where there's this older guy and this young boy, and they're having these interactions where the little kid maybe can't always afford the pulp novel of the week, and he's like, oh, well, here you go, you can have your little pirate novel. And then at the very end, spoilers, Ozymandias nukes fucking New York. And then one of the last panels of New York is this old comic book guy huddled over this child trying to protect him from this, inevitable destruction. So the premise is like these psychopaths.
the heroes are
far
from heroic.
I got stuck
And
on
then-
Ozzy.
Well, the name of the character is
I know, I'm
Ozymandias.
picturing Ozzy.
This sounds like it'd be a good read.
Yeah, it really is. And again, it's been 10 years.
I've not read the watch.
Yeah. So in this, they have this macrocosmic vision of the world, and it's all pessimistic, it's all dark, and it's still relevant to this day. Like, what you see on the news every day is very gross and dark and terrible, and it's all horror stories. But on a microcosmic level, you have, human interactions where this old man will literally throw his body on top of a young child in an attempt to save him from this cataclysm. So
Damn, I'll
that
pick that up.
yeah, so and it's very nuanced and it's powerful because of the juxtaposition.
I'm dumb. I can't read, so this does not work for me.
It's a graphic novel.
Oh, it's got lots of pictures.
It's got lots of
It's
pictures.
mostly
You'll be okay,
pictures.
Nate.
And like I said, that's the thing. That graphic novel
Hopefully I have thumbs
can
to
do well.
They might even have a pop-up book.
Hopefully, I have fingers up, turn the pages.
And that's why I'll never criticize a medium, is because, I never got into comics. I understand
Find
that
books or comics. Or,
it's a thing that works
Sure.
for people, but, the pulpy, 8 pages a week comic books thing,
Yeah.
When I saw it, it was like an inch
But
thick, but maybe that
I'm a
was...
comic book nerd. You
I know.
don't have to tap around it.
I
I know what kind of trash I love. Like,
Again, we've had many conversations
Yeah.
about Star Wars. I know the trash that I love too.
Right, all right.
It's yes, but yeah, the graphic novel bridges that gap some, where it's got like a large overarching plot you can spend $40 on, and yeah, there's a lot of pictures, but at least there's more words, and it bridges that gap. So they're trying to fill the Game of Thrones gap that they're about to have.
It's yeah.
So I could go into that too, about how the Game of Thrones was never supposed to have an ending.
Have you noticed you walk into any AT&T store now, it's like vomit-covered
yes.
Game of Thrones, anything.
I have not walked
I
into
walked-
an AT&T store in my
I
life,
walked
so-
by an AT&T store to go deposit my paycheck. I'm like, what the fuck is up with that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the,
What?
They
yeah.
have like wallpaper up, and they have all their displays have like Game of Thrones text,
yeah.
not serving number, and it's like all the Game of Thrones text.
And then they're advertising like we have the best network to watch Game of Thrones on, like straight up just says Game of
You
Thrones.
get free access to Game of Thrones if you are a AT&T subscriber. Like,
Yeah,
So
they're
they're just-
pushing.
Get HBO.
They're pushing.
Right,
If
right.
you sign up, you get HBO, the streaming thing for free for a while.
Yeah. Which I've seen.
But
their service.
isn't there only 5 more? That sounds like a lot
Right.
of
Three.
Three more episodes?
Yeah, they're making a lot.
They jumped in way too late.
Yeah, I'm like,
The pool's almost empty. They jumped into the deep end.
right, yeah.
You know, they're the kid, you know, like the dad's like, swim or drown, kid, and throws him like in the 30-foot pool.
Well,
like,
let's be
kid's
honest.
like,
Oh, yeah, like
kid
yeah,
actually
what,
drowns.
what is that wonderful
be
meme
honest
of like
here,
all of the
AT&T's never
browsers?
been-
What do we want?
No.
And then like the last panel was.
I was at the AT&T store getting my new watch, and there was a Samsung rep there who had seen the episode before it had come out, and he started talking about it
How
in
dare.
the store
It's
when
like,
no one else had seen
Did
it
they
yet.
make it out alive?
There were about 6 or 7 people that were became very agitated, and Everett Mall had to call in help. And I'm like, got my watch? Okay, time to leave.
Bye,
That's,
Felicia.
I mean, unless your watch is going to take video. Yeah, time to go.
I'm really glad I'm on the
Yeah,
internet
no,
right now
it
because like,
doesn't, unfortunately.
Yeah, time to go.
Yeah, mild Game of Thrones spoilers. I'm not talking specifics, but the general concept. George Martin has said as much that it's sort of an allegory for climate change. So
So
the
the dragons
White
are gonna-
Walkers are climate change, and the Game of Thrones is just what we're doing as the human species. So
You mean the whole being in denial?
in denial and ignoring the bigger, like, cosmic threat or global threat.
So what did the dragons
Err.
represent?
That is. So again, it started out that way.
The giant trash bars have come to life and they're breathing fire everywhere.
Like this feels like some weird ass J.K. Rowling retcon
Right.
shit. Like,
Well,
Like,
this is
actually, you know,
not
like
new.
I don't know if
this
it
is
is.
not
I'm
new.
just
This is like 5 years ago, like when the
Right,
TV
but that-
series was not new. But yeah, that was kind of his inception of the idea was he was kind of like, and he didn't write a ton of.
right. I mean, the only thing he wrote before Game of Thrones was a few short superhero short stories, and one role playing game, and like a couple hundred issues of Batman.
Yeah.
Like,
So his
Man never wrote anything
I'm not
over
saying
20
that's
pages.
where it ended up going, but his inception of the story was like, okay, so there's the Game of Thrones, but there's this existential threat beyond the wall that is inevitable, and no politicizing, no armies of men can defeat this encroaching, inevitable change unless we all band together. But we're never gonna. So the White Walkers are going to continue creeping, and then he wrote himself into his thing that he did for that thing where, like, okay, I like to let the characters develop organically and
I
not,
thought he got that all
Rip.
from his D&D group.
and then
Like, I'm
now,
pretty sure, like,
instead of like railroading into the end game of the story, he's like, well, my characters have gone here, and my story has completely gone off the rails, and I don't know what the fuck to do with it.
That does sound like a D&D
I'm on
group.
book 4.5,
Yeah.
and I don't know what the
Dark
fuck I'm doing anymore, and I don't really give a shit because I got HBO money, and they've already brought me back from the dead 3 times, literally.
Again, that sounds like a D&D.
And he's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go jump naked on a trampoline for
Controls.
Jimmy Kimmel. They have film of George R.R. Martin
Jumping up and down
and
like the
see
man
juice
show.
big
there at
sip.
Jimmy Kimmel, the late night show. They're like, oh, this was like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's like it was right after the When's Winter's the next one, whatever the last.
Sure.
Who gives a shit? I've beyond
Beast
stopped
Bros,
giving.
rather.
No, that was 3.
That was possible.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, it was on the Jimmy Kimmel show. Like, oh, let's go check on George R.R. Martin and see how his writing of the new book is going. And it's just him, like, in his bathrobe, just like, nope. And then he's just kind of wandering around his house, drinking a glass of wine, and then he goes and swims in his pool, and then he takes off his shorts, and then jumps on a trampoline.
right.
And this was years ago.
Yeah. I
He has no intention of finishing this.
I've never read any of them.
He's not
And
dead,
then-
and the series isn't finished. So.
Right, which those are my rules
Yeah.
on starting a series. Either the series is done, or the author is dead. I am not playing this. Wait 12 years for a book game.
I understand that.
And the
I was conflicted with the whole.
but like
wheel of-
I did watch the first season, and I saw a little bit of the second season, and then everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, okay, I lost interest not out of some weird hipsterish. I'd like to watch Game of Thrones. No, like a little bit of don't have a whole lot of I got to be choosy with my free time and what I spend it on, and then B. It's the War of the Roses.
Yeah.
I already know
And
how
that was
this
the other
ends.
thing. That was the other thing
So-
too. Is that was the inception too. It's like, okay, here's the War of the Roses, but then this.
But it's not like kind of a little bit the War of the Roses. It's the War of the Roses.
In the first 3 books or 4 seasons.
Like so.
But then,
so,
like I said, it starts going off the fucking rails.
The brother, Jaime
Yeah.
Lannister.
The one that's fucking his sister.
Yeah,
Which
that
one?
is a direct model of Sir James the Kingmaker.
Kingslayer.
Oh, whatever. But I'm telling
Yeah.
blonde chick
Mm-hmm.
with her barbarian horde,
Daenerys?
Yeah.
Mary Queen of Scots,
Yeah.
with all of her French military. Her big giant horde from across the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Again, I'm not disagreeing any of that. I'm just saying, that was his starting point.
Yeah.
With some
Edward
weird,
Stark is Edward the Confessor of the House of York.
So
Like,
I'm not
it's-
sure. Are you actually arguing with him or just trying to add to his
No, I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
saying
we're-
that the entire thing is the War of the Roses.
Yeah,
and the
that's-
War of the Roses ends
I just want to make
with
sure
the rise
I
of
was,
the House of Tudor
I just want to make sure I was recognizing.
And no Dragonfire.
Yeah.
and the redhead on the throne.
I'm just saying. I'm not disagreeing with any of that because that's absolutely true. But he tried to add a weird background.
Plus
political-
zombies. I
like,
guess. I don't...
Yeah, weird background
Yeah.
And
political
necromancers.
commentary about how we're all gonna die because nobody can agree that the thing is gonna happen. So fuck it.
Welcome to TJ Noodle Show.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, I'll try to contribute here, but got two smartest people at this fucking bar going back and forth, and we're over here
Hey.
I can't read. I cut my hands off, and these guys actually know shit.
You had the air horn moment. It was beautiful.
All I had.
I know it feels like murder, but
All right.
I know. I played a lot of XCOM too. It feels very unfair.
Earlier we were talking about popes. Did
Yeah.
anyone ever
Pope fight.
imagine? Well, the Pope fight.
Pope
It's a
fight.
battle royale. So you take 100 popes
Okay.
and you airdrop them in.
I'm
just-
conversation. I want to see
Yes.
this
Like,
go.
like, I'm,
They can use
gee.
any weapon from that period that they want.
Jesus.
okay, be more.
And they still have PewDiePie to airdrop them. Get on the bus.
So it's a lot of screaming.
They have to have the white outfit
Yes.
Like,
It slows their
full-
fall.
the full
Yeah, that is the parachute.
pontifex
And
garb
unfortunately, you can see everything else
regalia.
that's there.
Yeah, no, that is the parachute.
I
Go
know.
up.
All I just want to see a demolition derby of Pope mobiles.
Are they driving or are they in the back
They're
seat?
in the back. No, you got some crazy Swiss guard, driving.
Twisted Metal drivers.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal drivers.
Yes.
What are you saying about people who drive Souls?
Twisted Metal would be a great reboot. That's I'm just saying.
Twisted Metal Papal Edition.
Pope fights.
And the current Pope has the ice cream, the bobbing head that spits
Do you
fire.
have the ice?
It's been a while
Look,
since
I
I
didn't have
played
prepared for
that.
every situation. I just
I
have
play a
one
lot
Where's
of
the
night.
sound smoke out of the Pope mobile?
Brutality.
Thou tossed the holy hand grenade. Brutality. One.
Finish him.
5, 3, 7, 3, 3.
That's all, folks.
Look at the bones.
It's gonna be nasty. Right, boys, go Trump.
Fortnite.
Papal edition.
People edition.
Is that just
I don't know
going
how
to be
you
the
poke
tagline
that.
after
Somebody start
everything?
flossing.
How do you poke that? I just want to have something fucking contribute to that. My stupid goddamn airplane.
Picture adding Papal Edition after everything now.
Like,
Pope dabbing.
poke
go with
dabbing?
that.
Poke dabbing? I create poke dab. I don't know how to poke dabs. I'm sure the Pope would just do some sort of dab.
No,
dab.
I mean it's
Touche. Alright.
Just
Yeah.
because the Pope always does this thing while he's talking. I don't know why.
Yeah,
But every
it's-
Pope. No, it's not like
You're right though. There's
yeah,
nobody else
It's
really.
the Renaissance thing. The palms out Jesus.
you know, but blah,
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 blah, blah,
Just
yeah.
might be Italian. Just
That's what I was thinking.
But like so few of them are Italian, so you can't like that.
At
Okay,
day
they're
zero,
not from
when they start in their
When they
pose,
start, they just
lesson 1, when you address the crowd, you have to do this.
You
If
just-
you don't, you get tased. There's a guy,
like they
there's a guy
would.
behind you.
So
It's a
here,
couple of cardinals
okay.
with
As
tapes.
all right. So conspiracy theory number 4.
Oh.
Organic is literally a conspiracy that means twice as expensive.
Yeah.
Change my
Papal
mind.
edition.
Change my mind. Papal edition.
Papal edition.
Are you like sitting at the desk wearing the?
No,
whole-
okay. Again, remember, I'm part of Big Global. I am head of Big Organic.
All right, so yeah, most of your organic isn't organic, so you got to start there. Because like I want to say it's like 80% of all organic produce is imported from China,
God
which
damn it,
has
China.
Yeah, honestly, China could have a town called Organic.
We use wacky.
No,
for
they
that.
would.
They didn't they have one that was called USA?
You're right.
USA China.
So they probably
made in USA.
the next town over was probably named Organic specifically, so they could say that.
What was a real cheese that was for a while there? Like
No, legitimately, it's been
Yeah.
10 years since I worked at Domino's. Domino's Pizza gets their cheese from real cheese brand in Wisconsin. The name of the company is Real.
100%
REAL, all caps, REAL cheese. So all of their cheese is 100% real cheese.
I had a legitimate argument with somebody about this. Trying to
And that's the
explain-
fucked up thing about conspiracy theories, is that at least 1% of the time, they're fucking right. And it's awful.
Go into
well,
point
yeah.
out
I
there.
mean, like that is
Unfortunately,
conspiracy theories are kind of a fun rabbit hole to
Sure.
go down because you come across things where you go, oh, holy shit,
Yeah.
that's really a thing.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what I'm saying. Like 1% of the time, they're fucking
You know,
right.
I mean, Project MK Ultra, that happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
To this.
You know,
The Tuskegee experiment.
the Tuskegee. You know, these things
The
happen.
Philadelphia experiment.
You guys want to hear a fun conspiracy theory? So I live in a world where for some reason I just end up having crazy coworkers. Just somehow.
Okay, so how's that different?
Right. Let me explain what I mean by crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I could go on about Redneck Science Dude, but for now we're going to go on Crazy Conspiracy Guy, since we're on that train. I had a coworker who I like to kind of just egg on with his stories. His
Event
one
on
is...
Just for this exact moment.
Right. This guy, for a minute there, I thought he was kidding. Just because, aliens, yes, I believe that the concept, yes, we potentially, there's life outside of our own Earth. It has to be. Like,
Statistically speaking.
there has to be something outside of our Earth.
Sure, we can
Okay.
delve into the Fermi paradox.
Right. So this guy started, when I met him, with all of our technology, internet, phones, all that shit is reverse engineered from the Area 51 alien crash.
'Cause
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Starting there. Eventually, I don't remember.
So it's
Oh man, I got so many, but I'm gonna go into global warming since we also talked about that for a second. So he was trying to tell me, I don't remember how we got on this conversation, but global warming is being caused by us trying to smash atoms together. I go, what? He goes, yeah. We built this 30 mile track underground, and we're smashing atoms together, which is causing openings in the space-time continuum, colliding our climate with the other climates of the other dimensions.
Okay.
He's talking about the super collider.
Yes,
Right,
he's talking
yeah.
about the Hadron Super Collider is causing global warming because we are running into...
So if you were to reverse the machine, it would fix the problem.
Yeah, no need for...
Just flip it over.
There's a giant reverse switch.
Okay, but I do love the idea of throwing CERN, and global warming, and what is it called?
Mandela effect,
effect.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah, but throwing the Mandela effect,
Yeah,
the large
Fermi-
had CERN and the LHC and global warming all into one
He has-
glorious. I mean, that's.
I mean,
And this
again,
is-
the favorite conspiracy theory
and
too.
add some aliens in there.
Yeah,
Xenomorphs.
Like, that's a good one.
By the way,
That's
again,
a good
You
one.
walk in, it's like,
Oh,
we
that
supposed
doesn't
to be
sound like a
killing him?
conspiracy
No.
theory. That sounds like a
Yeah.
sci-fi TV series.
Like,
This
no,
guy-
I mean, like, you gotta get, like, multiple conspiracies wrapped into a single conspiracy, and that makes it way better.
It's on my old phone.
I mean,
Damn
it's
it,
the, it's the one
The
that's
guy
gone on
who
the
cleans the
internet
bathroom
plenty.
is the Knights Templar.
Right.
And there's the Men in Black, and then
Yeah.
there's,
Right.
you know.
No,
But
this,
when did they flip on the Large Hadron Collider? 2011, right?
yeah.
The first time?
No,
No, it was way
it was before
way
that.
before that.
I was still
Or is it CERN that I'm thinking of? Whatever.
CERN made the
Yeah, okay.
LHC. It's
Okay, yeah.
that is it belongs to
So
them.
I mean, like, I'm not saying the world ended when they flipped it on, but
There was a hiccup.
So I think one of my favorite
I gotta find this fucking note.
favorite CERN stories, was that
I mean, how many clowns did
they,
have?
that
randomly?
they had mathematically eliminated the probability that the LHC would cause it causes micro black holes, but whatever.
Sure.
But that it they were 99% or 90 blah 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 blah
several.
to the whatever
Yeah.
that it would not open a massive black hole.
It was not angels and demons size.
Right.
I mean, at the same time, that
Gotta remember.
So, you have all of these people sitting in that control room. The first time they turned it on, and it was misaligned and blew the side out of one of the
Tubes?
I can guarantee you there was not a clean set of pants in that room. Like, there's just no fucking way. Just
But-
no way.
The best part about this conspiracy
Like-
theory, this conspiracy theory comes from the same guy who I, in a haphazard kind of comment, just to see where it went, was like, man, those people that get abducted by aliens, that's kind of like, that's nuts, right? Without skipping a beat, and with a very serious face, looks at me, he's like, oh yeah, no, my wife was abducted by aliens. Oh really? He goes, yeah, man, like it was weird because they took me too, and offered for us to stay, but I was afraid they were going to hurt us.
So they didn't probe him.
No, they may have probed his wife, though.
it sounds like an awful,
That-
weird cuckold fetish, but
I'm like,
it's
yeah,
good.
that sounds like a
Right.
bizarre
Right.
drug-induced swingers night. I don't
So
know
I go,
what the hell.
I go, oh really?
I'm sure Pornhub has a
Yeah.
channel for that.
I am
I guarantee
you.
Hang on,
It
let me-
actually does.
Joey's like, I've got it bookmarked.
Confirmed.
So yeah, no, I
Like, as
I
the
was-
one woman here, I'm the one who can actually say
I was fully
that.
like-
It's okay.
especially disbelief, like, okay, this guy clearly has kind of been on the wrong internet hole, like, yeah, he fell in some,
Those are wrong internet
right,
hole.
yeah, like, he fell in this hole of conspiracy theory and then fell into alien sex. So, I was,
If you haven't found the wrong one yet, you haven't
Yeah.
tried hard enough.
so yeah, this guy,
That was a joke.
he had I wish I had my old phone because I had a whole ton of notes of just this fucking insane theory that involved the Mandela effect and how everything that we have is alien related. We've been in contact with them for years and years and years. That's why we have everything we have now, technologically speaking.
because the alternative is way more terrifying.
Yeah, that we actually are smart enough to figure that shit out.
No, that there are aliens out there and they don't want anything to do with us.
Yeah. It sounded like, whoop,
Way
fuck
more
that,
like-
They
no.
all drive
Way
by
more
with like,
likely.
oh no, that's Casino Road.
Yeah,
Don't go
just-
down there. Just don't go down there. That's not safe.
No.
That's the thing about zombies too, is that they're just the scariest things about humans, but amplified.
Is it though?
Maybe not the scariest, but at least on a primal level, the doesn't stop, doesn't rest,
Yeah.
doesn't think. Just
Depends on the zombie. So, of the things you fear about humans, are those actually the things you normally think of?
Again, it depends on whether you're talking on an actual like modern level or a primal level.
How many humans do you know who could actually manage that outside of becoming zombies? Most people would have to become zombies to be that
manage-
terrifying.
Yeah,
Manage what?
That non-stop primal level.
Always running, always eating, always
Right.
running.
Most humans would fall over wheezing because they're all out of shape until they become zombies.
Well, Americans,
well, okay,
yeah.
okay, that's what I was gonna say. Most humans is not America.
Okay.
Most humans is Asia.
We'll just be zombies and
Southern Star
rascals and
already.
chase
Okay.
people.
I'm gonna go with the humans that I know around here. Yeah. So, on that note, the things we find actually terrifying about the other humans around us, none of those things are on the list.
Right, I'm just saying, but on like a primal level.
On a primal level, we're more, I mean, as a woman, we're more worried about like rape and shit like that, or someone randomly invading our
Fair,
home or whatever.
fair,
The zombie might invade your home if you're stupid enough to open the door for them.
Lightly first, then they bash in the door.
Right. I'm like,
Your window's open. I'm in. Like, whoa!
yeah, so the things that actually terrify you about human beings, not the same things that terrify you about zombies.
I think the terrifies about human beings when they actually speak to me.
Right. A zombie who's like making the, if a zombie actually said stuff, then
Okay,
we go, oh,
exist.
you are
Pay your
not,
rent!
you're
is not
not what
warm
I was
bodies.
prepared for.
You
I
need to
was
get
not
out of your
ready for
house.
that. If a zombie spoke, yeah, I'd not be ready
Drink
for that.
some more water.
You see that pile of laundry in the room? Yeah, you need to wash that.
Out of the washer, Jesus.
We had an RPG game once. It was specifically an end of the world apocalypse thing that was about zombies. And there's this random stranger who just like shuffled up to the door. And as soon as one of us went, oh, you're not alive. Oh, good. We can just kill you now. Oh, good. We don't have to actually treat you like a human being anymore because you're not human. You're not the thing we fear about humans.
Again, it's.
I Am
It's-
Legend. Great book.
Well, anyway, I've not actually read the book, but I've heard enough about it. But and again, so it's a confluence of the primal fear with also the power fantasy of.
Sure, but I mean, you can look at the
I mean, I
you
love
know,
zombie shit. So I'm not.
I'm saying, like, how many people do you
Zombies,
know in
the
the nerd world that doesn't have a zombie apocalypse plan?
Right.
At least tentatively.
I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing that whether or
Well-
not that's the thing I fear most about the humans.
But-
in a zombie apocalypse plan, I actually worry more about the humans that are not zombies yet than I do the zombies.
Because once
What
world
I
ends,
what I
there's
think
no
is
rules.
interesting is
Zombie I
on
can
the
just kill.
zombie
Right.
subject is the kind of ebb and flow of the popularity of The Walking Dead. Not the show or the comic, but like the concept, throughout history from Sumerian, Akkadian, Egyptian, and it goes through these periods where it's highly popular, and then it kind of falls away, and then it comes back, and I don't know. I've always found that's
which is
They go from shambling to running to using equipment, and they go back to
And the methods of it being
because
transmitted is
like
different.
if you go to like say the old kingdom of ancient Egypt, you pretty much just have the ka and the kot, right? But then you move forward into the middle kingdom, and then you have the ka, the ku, the kot, the ba, the abd. There's all of these different types of
Am I the only one waiting for him to say cock somewhere in there?
tongue twisters. But
but there's all these different
TJ
types.
versus the FCC.
There's all these different types of these
I would love to see.
I'll call it
these
right
these what is it the Jacques Neteru the dark beautiful ones and all these different types of undead that for whatever reason haven't traveled through the pillars of the west to the blessed fields of Aaru. And then it kind of like falls off, and there's not a whole lot of undead during the New Kingdom and the Greek and Alexandrian periods. That's just no one
Because they had real threats,
and then
like the Persians
right, but then you get
or the
like
Germans.
or the Hittites.
then you get into the Iron Age, and suddenly the Teutonic cultures come way running
Yes,
back with all of
resurging,
these different types of zombies, and then you have the end of the Vendel period, early Viking Age, and you have the Gungar, the Optera Gungar, the Draugr, the Earthborn, all of these different types of Walking Dead, all coming, and they're fast and strong, or they're slow and shamble, and it's all the different various forms.
Even the Rus cultures had some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Too. I can't remember the name. But that was kind of my original point. Like it's a long-standing human instinctive something in there that for 8,000 years there's been zombies since the early Egyptian kingdom. There's something about it that's
Oh,
just,
even the Akkadians
Yeah.
in Sumeria had, and all right, I'm not going to teach you ancient Sumerian. I can teach you ancient Sumerian if you
I've
want.
got
I wasn't debating that. No.
Ancient
This look
Mayans.
was how
Yeah.
many times is it us just misdiagnosing death and really somebody just
potentially
right?
again gets into a spiritual element too, like what defines death and what your body and your spirit. And you can even point to maybe more modern examples. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but the dude got a fucking railroad spike through his head, which should have killed him. Literally any other person that got a 9-inch fucking railroad spike through his head was like, no, I'm good.
I mean, if you put it like between the hemispheres of the
Well, I
body,
mean, by the same token, that's
But
like
went through the roof of his
I mean-
mouth, out the top of his skull, and they
Yeah,
pulled
yeah.
it out. And he lived. He was fundamentally changed
Sure.
by the idea, and it kind of
I mean,
gets into that question of
lobotomies were.
just like
That was a. God, I can't remember.
wasn't it one of the fucking Kennedys that
Yeah.
Like there was this.
was one of the more famous ones?
Yeah, Ruth Kennedy was lobotomized. They were.
I mean, it was very common.
Oh yeah,
that-
you just go to the local lobotomy office.
like,
and,
I'm just gonna
mean,
scramble your
they-
brain real quick. Yeah,
Video.
Who was the doctor that popular?
can't remember.
Sam.
I think she's outside. Yeah,
No.
she's outside.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so like, and it gets into that fundamental question of like what makes you human. Because like,
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry.
Way too done for this.
I think that might be more of a driving force in that zombieism is that total disconnect and the what is the name of the doctor that did all of the lobotomies in like the 50s?
Freeman.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean,
I just said a body doctor.
yeah, just
I gotta Google
I don't know. Like I said, just mythology in general, because I've been kind of dabbling back in that. Just like they're just aspects of humanity that we can now, but even really not now.
Well, I mean, sure, you could argue some of it might be, whatever, ancient steppe peoples, and,
Yeah,
predators in the night, and,
we have
Actual
earthquakes
predator.
sometimes.
actual predator, just doing his,
Shooting laser beams at
If
you.
you build
Laser
that
beams,
pyramid
yeah.
too tall, you're gonna get it.
That was actually
We're
kind
gonna
of.
make a shining pyramid with a gold top,
Yes.
or
I
else.
just
Or else-
came into the middle of this and there was talk about frontal lobotomies.
Yeah.
And now we're
it's-
talking about predator. I'm like, are you guys all okay?
Oh, you really like it?
Is anybody okay in general?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. But yeah, dude.
no, but I think some of that, because you imagine, the proto-lobotomy of early man hitting other early man in head with stick
Yeah.
or rock.
Well, I mean, like,
Oh, yeah,
how do you say it?
trepanning.
Yeah, trepanning goes
Trepanning.
back to like the Bronze, or not even the Bronze Age, to like the Neolithic Age. There's dudes with stone chisels chipping chunks out of people's
Well,
skull.
you had too many humors in your head.
Yeah, well, it was even pre-humored, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
It
you
was-
got
it was
you
humorous.
got demons in your skull. Crunch, crunch. I mean, it was actually way more sophisticated. They were using stone tools to carve squares out of your skull before you had reliable food.
Right.
And
And
ghosts in your head. You should do cocaine about it.
Can we get that science back, please? Thank you.
but if you look at that, right, and there, we all
And
talk
there's-
about,
there's-
that concept of, he was just dead in the eyes, right, and the dude with the big spike through his head,
Yeah.
who suddenly became super jerk face and kind of hyper violent.
Yeah.
If put that into a primitive sort of setting where we're experimenting with stone chisels on and brain surgery, you can see how that concept of a early zombie-esque proto
So
zombie,
you're like possessed by this violent spirit after this whatever
right?
event.
I don't know.
Lost Plagas.
What?
Resident Evil.
So
Is
speaking
that,
of,
is that the one, the worm thing? That,
Yeah.
I didn't get super into the Resident
I
Evil
played it
thing.
for about 5 minutes ago. This is dumb.
Speaking of dumb science, guys, you want to hear some dumb science shit that I've heard from speaking about crazy coworkers? I got a fun one about that.
All right, you get. If you're gonna do it quick.
So, I had this guy who liked to do a lot of meth I used to work with. So he went on these tirades. Out of his mouth, he said he could go walk into any MIT scientist and get a degree from all the science theories. Any one of that he had. His science theories always consisted of magnets, like they were the godsend of everything in the world. So he tried to convince me, like, oh, I can make a hovercraft. Yeah, it would totally work. I go, oh, really? How so? Yeah, it's just a powerful supermagnet that's reversed to the the polarity of the Earth's magnetosphere, and you could then hover across the magnetosphere and ride that around in your hovercraft.
Okay, Gene Roddenberry.
So there's this thing. It's called
Reality.
science.
That was the most heinous thing he ever said, because he would just assume that it would work just like you just put a car battery.
Work.
But it's a really powerful one, dude.
Skirt on the
it's a really
hovercraft, right?
yeah.
Right.
That holds the air in.
You don't understand. It's a really powerful magnet that is also operated on an magnet. How was that so hard to say? Electromagnetic on a pendulum that would swing back and forth because perpetual motion was infinite. Speaking of crazy science theories.
That sucks.
Apologies to all the science people whose brains just went.
Look, man, he's convinced like that's the smartest shit in the fucking world, and I was like, really? Go on. Like I forgot everything he
I
said.
need
'cause
some
I just-
whiskey after that one.
Yeah, I have neither the time nor the crayons to explain how dumb that shit is.
I'm not a smart man.
Then we wrap it up with weird.
Ah.
Like if that's
Yeah.
driving you crazy.
I'm not a
Was
smart
it
man, but I do
crayons?
know how magnets work.
Yes. Sorry, crayons.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I was like,
you mean
crayons.
lunch?
What do you need cranberries for? What?
Hey, catch you on the next episode, guys. We talk about some weird science shit, maybe conspiracy theories. You never know.
And slit the throat.
Bye, Felicia.